Hey everyone, I just got my Khufu boat from Japan. This is a model kit for building of a model kit of the ship of Khufu, which is located at the Giza Plateau, found by the Khufu's pyramid. And it's a model kit that I will build, and it comes from from Japan, from the, I guess, Kazunori Marikawa. So I'm gonna open it up and have a look at it. Everyone, so now I'm just going to open this box for the Khufu boat. So again, a purchase from Japan. So you could see the boat itself inside here, and we're going to build that. So let me just take out the box. So now I've gone ahead and taken out the box, and we're going to open it up. So when you open it up like that, it'll have several instructions inside, kind of guide you through what the pieces are, as you can see over here. This is 2 pages of instructions, some more instructions, kind of guiding you through it. The build, the same way, just showing you the original aspect of it, kind of the original. So they show you how as much they got close to the original as possible. And then come the pieces. So here are the pieces. There's going to be basically the, I don't know all the names of the nautical names of the ship, but much of the pieces, and they've kind of put them together to keep them organized, what goes with what. So the hull, you know, the ribs, the interior, this has to be worked with wood glue, white glue, which eventually dries and becomes clear. And then more pieces here, you could see that, and a little bit more here. And this is the basically going to be the deck, and then the pieces in the back are what's going to be part of it as well. And that's where it's going to be mounted on this giant piece of wood. And here are some of the mounts and some of the figurines that it's going to go with it, as well as little gifts that they got. They gave me some picks, I guess food picks that puts into meals and such. So it's little nice gifts that they brought. Some chopsticks from Japan, so Japanese chopsticks. And yeah, just some, finally some yarn just to tie down the deck when you glue it in, so it looks nice and good. So that's it. That's going to be the Khufu boat build that I will be making, and you can stay tuned, and I'll probably do a time lapse showing you the build, so stay tuned for that. All right, we're gonna start cutting out the pieces. I've already cut out parts of the frame over here, and then we're just gonna do the rest for the rest of them. Just don't want to break it. There you go. And we'll keep these pieces in case we need them. So here we go, just the main boat first. So let's get started. All right, we're extracting sections of the boat here. These are small pieces. They're gonna go for the frames, and usually it's a very simple cut. You just kind of cut there to extract them, one here, and it kind of just clicks so you know it's, and that's it. You just push it out, and that's all. You just assemble them, put this on the side, and there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and assemble these together and see what it looks like. All right, so this section is complete. What you need to do is cut out the ribs and follow the numbers, which are explained here on the chart. And then just lay them in very carefully. They're very fragile. They can break off. Just kind of push them in, but do not glue them. That's important because you're going to use them to actually create top layer ribs, and you're going to see that in the next video. So do not glue them. Just lay them all individually in their ribs in their proper way. Keep in mind that you're all facing the same way because you're going to cut out these little pieces afterwards. So just make sure these little kind of wrenches are all in the same direction. Okay, stay tuned for the next one. All right, the next one is this number 2. You just kind of do the same thing. You cut these out, right? You lay them there. Make sure you follow them because this one says the letter A. The letter A is going to go with the smaller numbers. Then you're just going to lay it down here, which we're going to do, and then the letter B is going to go over there. I'll do a video of that. Now that we've laid it down, this is where basically the 2, 3, 4 go together, and that's where the 16, 15, 14 go together, and that's how they look like. You kind of just lay them over that way, and that's it. That's the next step. All right, the next thing to do is to take the number 28s and cut 2 pieces of 43 millimeters, and then you come over here. Now this is the stern, and that's the bow, and you need to glue it from over here. So from here, you see these little 2 uprisings right there? You'll need to glue from here to there. in between, leaving the space. So you just put a little glue over here, and you put a little glue here, and you put a little glue there, and you do the same on the opposite side. And I'll show you that in a second. So you can see right there how you put these in between. Now that's the instructions say you have to shape it into a dome or a half circle, but you don't, just kind of force it down there with enough pressure and it should fit just fine. So now you cut the remaining length, which goes from the center here all the way to the end of the stern, which comes down to the tip of the stern. You do 2 of those, and then you cut 2 more pieces to go to the bow side, which goes right over to the center, right all the way to the bow. And then you glue them here on the frame, and that's it for now. It's just a little trick to show you what you could do now. Just to make sure that the boat is straight, you can always kind of put something like this to hold it. Just tighten it like that, and that should hold your boat just fine. And a little other trick here, to apply glue in the spots in order to hold these, you can just put a little glue on here, and I'll show you how to do that. You apply a little bit of a glue like that, and what you do is you just kind of go through all the little spots here and just kind of leave some glue on there like that. It's a lot easier than having to kind of squeeze it in there. And just do that all the way down to the spots where you need to do it. Usually I can do a little bit better than this, but yeah, you just have to dab it. Just kind of go like that. And just kind of dab in here, dab in there, and it'll actually stick in there. It's just right now I don't have enough glue properly, so there you go. And then you start taking the piece and then applying it in there, like you see over here. All right, so the first ribs have been installed, so you could see how we put the little pieces in the middle first, and then we extend it out that way, making sure to come by all the way to the keel, and then over here as well. And we did the same over there. So that's it. The next thing is to put this piece on top. That's the next one, which will cover the underneath of the ship. All right, so that's the next piece that's gonna go on here. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. You could see that this is longer than this one, and that's longer than that one. So that's just gonna kind of go on top of there like that. So we'll go ahead and put that in for you, and we'll tie it up and show you what it's gonna look like. Now we have to wet the keel so we can bend it according to the bottom without breaking or snapping it. So you gotta wet it and then just bend it once it's nicely wet. And I'll show you that, how it looks like afterwards. So go ahead and glue the bottom of the keel. I put a lot of glue, kind of very generous, and then tie it down really hard because you're gonna go ahead and bend these now and you don't want any pullback. And then you'll be able to finally tie it down to there once you're done. All right, the next thing to do is to file down. You could see how I've slowly started filing them. You gotta file these down and basically clear all those lines, and I'll show you what it looks like. Just file it down and make it nice and curved. So before you glue the keel, make sure these little pieces here, you see those little pieces of the banters, I guess they're called? Those have to be flush right on there because you're gonna glue those on there before you start putting in the end of the bow here. You're gonna have to do that on both sides over here and then also on the other end of that one as well. And then you can begin to glue properly everything together into one single piece because then the other pieces need to be assembled afterwards. So yeah, so keep that in mind. All right, now what I've done is I've put glue underneath here to cover the banners, I guess, the banters, I believe. These little frames things here, just kind of put glue under them. And then I'm gonna tighten this right now to it. And I'll use some rope. So as long as you put that nice white glue and then you can lay it down on that. Now you can put some glue here as well, but you're not really sure where you're hitting it, but use a Q-tip, it really helps. So this is a bit of what I've done. I've tied it tighter here by the steer, not the keel, but the stern, a little bit in the middle here by pony clip, and then just a little bit here, and I tied it down, and that should kind of just let it dry, and that should hold it until you're done, and then just do the same on the other side. So this is just a bit of what I'm doing. I just kind of tie it down, let it glue all together. It doesn't take very long if you're using proper wood glue. Maybe 15 minutes, nice and solid, and you can keep working. So yeah, there you go. So once again, now you could put, you would have to do the same thing. So once you've done the keel, then you would have to start again the ribs one more time, but this time you do equal cuts of 43 millimeters and you just kind of lay them starting from the long piece to the short piece, and you just start from there and just lay them that way. And then you cut the other 4 pieces the same way as well. 1, 2, 3, 8 pieces in total. All right, so you can see now all the ribs have been put in. making sure that your ribs are right on the edge there of the bow. And then you can check over here, and it just kind of does the same thing over again, and that's what you're going to do. Cut the sticks out at proper size from what I showed you before. And that's what you should have once you've done that. Just kind of glue them in, nice quick glue that helps for the wood, and you should be good to go to put the rest of the frame now, or the actual hull. All right, now we prepare the installation of the hull. If you go with number 8, number 9, they're identical, and you're gonna build the hull from the keel going towards the deck. That's how you're gonna build it. You can use crazy glue to help you bond it faster, or you can use just regular wood glue, but this is what is recommended to speed up, and then you tie it down afterwards. So let's do that. All right, everybody, so I'm just going to show you the hull. So the way to do the hull is just tie one end, obviously wet it a little bit, it makes it a little more flexible, but tie the end with a rubber band and glue that end, and then do the same thing on the other end. I use the clip. You can use clips as well, big ones, small ones, and that'll hold it in place. And then you can kind of sort of apply the glue all over it afterwards. And I would use, you know, like a proper glue, like not a crazy glue, but like a crazy glue, I guess. And a super glue, and then just do that. And once you've done that, then you begin tying it. So I have a string ready here. I'm going to tie this boat really hard all the way around, so then I can apply more glue and leave it like that for, you know, half an hour to an hour. So we'll be back. All right, the boat is tied up, so you could see like that. It's nice and tight. And then I can apply glue in some places, crazy glue, inside the hull, and that would kind of hold it together. And then tomorrow we just kind of unloosen it all, and then just start working on the other stuff, which is the main keel area, not the keel, but the stern and the bow parts, which you can see here in the photos. So we'll work on that, and stay tuned. So I've gone ahead and glued all the parts over here. You glue them on both sides so they can tie down to the hull. And you do that for all of them on both sides. Just glue down there, and so it's nice and tight. And now it should be good to unwind the string, but also you're gonna remove this piece, and that piece on all of them. And then you're gonna detach that little one as well, which you're gonna place exactly in the same position right down there. So that's what you need to do after that. So here's an example. You just take one like that and you pull on it, and that's it. And it's just gonna leave like a flat little surface there, and you're just doing that, and then eventually you're gonna remove the giant support beams here at some point. All right, everybody, so now, as you can see, you remove the frames, and then from the frames you can slowly remove the pieces like that, and then eventually you can take out these little wrench types, which are gonna go as posts on each one in their numbered order. And that's that. So just so you see what it looks like, this is what it's going to look like. And the next thing to do is to put the little posts in there, and that's the next video. All right, everybody. Now you can see the posts installed inside the frame of the boat inside here. This is what's basically going to have a sort of a frame on top. But now we're going to install the bow and the stern. So we're going to put them together, and they're going to go at each end here. And you can see that in the photo right over here. That's what you need to do. It's an easy installation, so it shouldn't be too hard. All right, now we've glued over here the bow and the stern, so you can see I still have to file that down, but that's just the way it's going to be for now. And then you can see it over there. That's how it's attached. You just kind of glue the pieces on there once you've assembled these together. These are pieces that come together, and it's good to wet them, get them nice and wet, because then they can curve around. And then I used pretty much super glue. That's the best option, really, just for better control. So that's it for now, and let's keep going. Hello, everyone. So the major part of the boat is complete. The deck, the hull, the steer, the keel, the stern, the bow, all of it is done. What I've done now is just, all that's missing is the deck and certain decorations on top of the ship. I've put a little bit of a gloss cover here on it. This is a matte finish in order to protect it against any water damage, and I will go ahead and now spray it with the same color that you see on the actual boat of Khufu. So let's have a look and see when I cover it with this, and then we'll reapply that as well a second time to protect the actual color. All right, so now I painted or spray painted the boat, which is the proper color of the, I have to fix that there. the proper color of the actual solar boat in the museum, which is like a dark chocolate color for the wood. The wood was made of cedar wood, but that's it. So now we'll add another coat a little later. But this is the main coat, and then we'll go ahead and start adding the pieces and painting them, and we'll just keep adding on top until it's complete. All right, now we're going to be building the deck beams. So we have these two plates here that have all the pieces, and we're going to start building the deck beams like that, just kind of gluing them on slowly, and then we're going to come to this point like that, and then we'll use the other parts of the beams here to connect and make 3 of them. So let's go ahead and do that and see what it looks like. All right, now you can see that the boat had been painted, but also the deck has been put together. See, these are several pieces that you're going to have to cut out and then just kind of follow the instructions. I'll show you how to do it. Make sure you follow it properly. There are pieces that go in the front, so don't skip out on those, even though you think you don't need to, but you definitely need to put those pieces in the front. Okay, so now we're going to spray paint this deck, and then we're going to eventually put it in here and then tie it up again. And then we're going to have to glue every one of those little pieces for the deck down so it stays nice and tight. So let's wait for that. All right, the next thing while you're waiting for the paint to dry on the boat is you can assemble the mount, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a single piece like that. You have to assemble these 2 pieces with the center pieces there in the middle, and making sure that you leave a gap at the bottom so you kind of corner it to the top of them. Use wood glue. Crazy glue doesn't work. It's wood is too just absorbs the super glue. And then you put the 2 mounts together, making sure to lay it down flat. You'll have that space, and then eventually, yeah, that's it. That's what you get. So that's the mount. It dries pretty quickly, and then you can put the boat on it. All right. So when you're gonna mount this, you're just gonna make sure you align it. I've noticed that it's 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters over here, and then just kind of make sure it's straight on both ends. And then you just lay that on top, and then it should dry pretty good. All right, so there's the mount. It's nice and glued. It won't fall off using the wood glue. And now we'll take the boat, and we'll just kind of position it that way. And you'll see it doesn't really matter. We'll hold it regardless. And there you go. The boat sits on the mount. And now we'll just work on the deck sections as well, and that should be it for now. All right, everybody. So now the deck is glued on all ends of the beams here to the actual hull, and that's what you're supposed to do. Tie it down with rope. What I did, I just used pony clips and different type of pressuring tools, and that's it. Once you have that, you're pretty much done on this particular side. Now you can start setting up the deck, which it doesn't take very long. The actual full deck to walk on right over there and there, and then we'll start building the housing unit, which goes on top. All right, everyone. So now the next thing is to lay this deck, which I will have to spray paint so it matches the color. And you're pretty much going to glue these 3 together and lay them on top. The same here, and it's going to cover this little piece here. And that's all you're going to do. And this is going to be painted, and then it's going to be laid flat down like that. So that's what we're going to do next. Hey, everyone. So I'm just going to show you the complete top deck here, glued down and painted. I made the top deck a little lighter, so make it looks like it's been used. So you can see what it looks like. All right, now what we're doing is we finished building the cabin. We just need to assemble it. They're pretty straightforward and easy. Just follow the instructions. There's the doors, there's the top and the sides. So that's what's happening now. All right, everybody. So you can see here the boat has a cabin, just a partial cabin. I still have to build some more on the interior, but you can see it's just 4 pieces. You know, you gotta glue those, follow the instructions. Did the same over here, the size as well. And there's gonna be an interior compartment here somewhere, but that's the way it goes, like that. Okay, so now we've glued the cabin together. It's just 4 pieces. Once you've assembled everything, then glue them. Make sure you glue the sides. You could also glue a little bit on the top there and just kind of tighten that because it's a little loose. It leaves a kind of an opening, and the same over here. Just tighten over there after you glue. You flip it over after that, and now we're going to lay this down and glue that as well in there, and I'll show you that. So this piece was assembled. It's just 5 pieces. You just kind of glue them together. Make sure you follow the instructions at which way they go. You can see an angle over here. Make sure that angle follows the pattern. It's in the pictures, of course. I'll show you how to do it over there. So just keep an eye on all the details. All right, now you see how I've glued it in. Make sure you follow the instructions and that you put that little piece there for that one that I put inside there, right there. Follow just the way it looks and shows you. Make sure the angle part is at the small gap, not the larger entry, but the small entry, and then it's kind of declining like that, and that's what you want to do. All right, that's it. So once that's glued like that, then you just take it and we'll position it here. We'll glue it on there, but we'll paint it first and then lay it down. All right, so now this is done. You lay out this type of grid right here. Make sure to stay within the actual lines here. You could see how they stay within the walls so they don't exit. There's a reason for this once you proceed forward. So we're gonna spray this right now. And then once it dries, we're gonna lay the next layer on top, shown over here. All right, now you can see that the boat has been painted. The deck section, even underneath as well, has been painted. Try to let it dry, not get too dirty with my fingers. But that's it. That's what you got to do. Let it dry a little bit, and once it's fully dry, then you can start putting the other frames that's required here. All right, so this section is complete. So you're just laying 3 gridded lines and then the same thing, but make sure that you're kind of protruding out of the cabin because you're going to lay vertical lines coming down for each line, and then you're going to do that, and then after but first you're going to have to paint it or spray paint it and then lay those sides. All right, now you can see that it's been painted, so it's nice and pretty much the same as unilateral. And now we're going to use the squarish type of wooden sticks, and those are going to go along the path here. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. But on the top, we're also going to add the flat ones, which are number 28. And we're going to do these ones over here at the very bottom, number 32s. So stay tuned. All right, so just so you can see how this is done, you cut those square blocks and you just fit them there underneath. And that's pretty much what you're doing. You do the same on both sides and you have accomplished that. And we're just going to spray it. But before that, we'll add the little doors on the front here, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. All right, now you can see how the doors have been added. This one's slightly like open like that. You can kind of twist it open like this. You can do whatever you want really with the doors if you want to keep one closed, one open, or both of them open. On the back side, you have one door, and that one is like just kind of ajar like that. You can make it look like that if you want, but that's the end of it really. And then once you've completed all this, you just spray paint it all. Once it dries nice, then you spray paint it, and then you can just mount it onto the boat, and I'll show you where that goes. All right, so the next thing we're going to build while we're waiting for the cabin to dry is we're going to build this frontal shrine area. I guess this is where maybe a god may have been placed during the day or removed. So we're going to use the cylindrical or circular one, and that's what's going to be built right over there. Now here it says that the image is the exact size, so you just measure the stick to the actual measurement of these ones over here, and that should give you that kind of like declining or from increasing or declining look. So definitely just kind of measure these ones out and then duplicate them for both sides, and you should have your object, and then you can just glue it together. It does say to actually kind of file out the top area so it kind of looks almost like conish, but it's up to you really if you want to do that. So just an update here. So for me to build this shrinal area at the very front of the boat, I've decided to follow the image that I see at the museum in Cairo for the Khufu's boat, and it had some kind of planking on the top of it, so I added this as an extra. It's not part of the instructions, but I just kind of did that to give it more of the real look. And apparently, from what I'm seeing in the pictures of the real boat or the model boat, these posts are going to go here in many different spots, are all the same size. So you might as well just do 10 of them at the same size and just kind of put them on top of each other. Just kind of pick the size you want and then just go from there. All right, so you can see here that this is completed. Now I kept them the same length because that's how the original was. It's the same length, but when you position it on top of the boat here, facing this way, it has a bit of an angle, which creates this kind of weird dip. Now you could try to do it the way they showed you in the model, just kind of raise it up, make it longer in the front, then you get a bit of a nicer look like that. But I prefer to keep it this way because that's just the way they're all just long pieces. But there it is. So there it is. You can just paint it and glue it on there, and that's all it's going to take. It's just to glue it on there when you're done. So now you see that I've painted, I guess, the shrinal space. I'm not too sure what this was used for, but I can only assume perhaps for some kind of shrine that was put there. But that's it. Just paint it, leave it on there, let it dry, and then just glue it right on. All right, so now I wanted to show you the final canopy that was put over here. You just set up these square beams over here. I did 5 and spacing out using the spacers here, counting 5, and you get to the very end of it, just near to the shrine. Then you lay a flat number 28 on top. What I did was I actually just did that, and then over here I doubled it. So these are number 28s, but double to give it a thicker so it goes a little higher on the very top beams. Now, what I could have done is stuck with what they had done, but I realized that they are not accurate to the actual Khufu boat that you find in the museum at Cairo by the pyramid. So what I did was I actually replicated what it looks like. It actually has 3 giant beams that go on the top, and these will hold the oars, and I've doubled them using the single number 28. Just kind of glue them together and get a nice length, come up to about the same space, and then just kind of glue those to the top. I haven't glued anything yet from the beams yet, but that's how they were supposed to meant to be from the pictures that I was able to extrapolate from the museum. And then you'll have to kind of tie them with rope to show that they've been tied. And then you eventually do the oars using the which we'll be doing next, the oars for the round cylindrical wood. So stay tuned for that, and we're going to paint that once we glue it on. All right, now you can see how I've glued the frame in. It's been painted, and then the beams on the top are kind of arching in the same way. I've done it that way, and you can see where I've connected them. You don't have to, but that's what I've done to the very top of the cabin, which touches pretty much every other beam on the very top here. And now what we're going to do is, once you've glued that in, we're going to start cutting the poles. The measurements are given on the actual Japanese instructions, so definitely check that out. And then you put the poles, and that should do it. All right, so the oar beams for the front of the canopy of the boat will have 5 on each side crossing, and then crossing on the top of each other, like you see in the photo down there. They'll just cross. I didn't have enough to make them longer because I had to be very careful not to completely cut them incorrectly, and then I'm missing. So these are cut for, you can do obviously have longer if you ration your sticks, but for me, I was able to get about 11 1/4 millimeters, 11 1/4 centimeters, excuse me. And then these, I just kind of left them there. I can give them any length I want. This is up to 15 centimeters, and I can play with these 2 at the end. But here are the oars. We're going to trim them out. Then we're going to glue them in there, and we're going to shave it off a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. And that will be the end of the oars, but let's check out the next video. All right, we are coming to the end of the finishing line here. Now, these are the 10 oars that are going to be on the front here, and these are the 2 back oars that are going to go on the very back of the boat. Now, one couple things that's important is when you prepare these sticks, make sure you cut them properly because you may not have enough at the end. So make sure you get your numbers right. I got 11 1/4 for 10, so that's what I got out of my sticks. Also, trim that down. It does tell you in the instructions, but trim that down so you don't split this very fragile oar. I did it with one of them right over here. So make sure you shave it down all the way around so you can fit it comfortably without chipping, and it doesn't stick out on the ends of the oars like that. It actually sits nice and comfortable. So keep that in mind when you do it. So now we're going to go ahead and spray them, color them, and then I'll show you how I've chosen to attach them. All right, so I've gone ahead and painted all of the oars, let them dry for a bit so they're not too sticky. And I've gone as well, I doubled number 28, which you'll see is the thin sticks. I've doubled them to give it a thick little post here, which I glued on. And this is where the long oars are going to go, and they're going to wrap around that in a figure 8. So once I get to the wrapping, I'll show you what it looks like, but that's it right there. I want to show you, this is how I've decided to set up the oars. So they cross that way. In the museum, the oars will actually stop at the very edge over here. And I'm taking a little glue and just gently applying the glue on the tips of each end. And what I've done over here, so you just put a little glue on these tweezers or something else, and just kind of just dab it gently, ever so gently in the crevices so it holds in place. And when it's fully nice and dry, then you can go ahead and wrap it with rope to give it a proper look. All right, now you can see the oars, which are nicely, beautifully aligned. Instead of the front ones, I guess. The top ones are just, I had to go through a different frame, but that's okay. But so you could see how I did it. Make sure you kind of keep them tight to the frames themselves. And then just kind of make sure your oars are in the right position. So now that's kind of glued together, but I'm gonna go ahead and these are the back oars as well. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tie rope. I'm gonna use this yarn that I have right there and just kind of tie them up as cosmetics so they look like they've been tied. And that's it. So let's finish up the rest of the boat by tying it up. All right, everybody. So the Khufu solar boat is complete. You can see how I've established the oars. I've done 2 figure eights for the first 2 front oars, and then the rest were tied together with the single figure 8, and that kind of just goes all the way down that way. The back as well, I did a figure 8 for each one of them, tied over here. So that's that. It's complete and mounted. And that's the video. It took about a week and a half to build. It could take you sooner if you're very kind of in a hurry to build these things, but that's it. Now, keep in mind, I altered it. Didn't keep it the same. If you look at the image here, you see how they put the oars and how they did the canopy or the cabin in the back. Well, that's not the way it looks like in the Egyptian museum, or not Egyptian museum, but in the floating museum for the solar boat of Khufu. Mine actually replicates how it was done. If you check out the pictures, here they are. You could see how this was really built. See over there how they cross up like that, and the frame is much longer. So yeah, and you could see in the very back there, only 2 oars, and that's what I wanted to do. So I just changed it and adapted it to the way I wanted and was able to accomplish something a little different. But definitely check out this company. These guys are the Woody Joe. You can get them from Japan. These models are about $200 Canadian, which is what I bought it for, with about $30, $40 tariffs that you have to pay when it gets here. So about $240 Canadian in total. Might be cheaper if you are elsewhere like the US or in Europe. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and share and tell your friends. Next thing I'm going to try to do is see if I can float it on water by water sealing it from underneath, and then just giving it a go on the water. If it floats, then I will put 2 little turbine engines from some little ship model that I've made, that I found somewhere online, and we'll try to see if we can get it go on water. So let's check that out. Take care, everybody. Thanks.